He built the most powerful black-owned company in America. And then, one by one, the very stars he made started turning on him. Some sued him, some screamed at him across boardroom tables. One went on strike and refused to sing another note until Berry Gordy bent the knee.
Someday we'll be together.
These are 10 Motown legends who turned against the man who built Motown. And by the end of this list, you'll understand why number 1 made an empire break. Number 10, The Temptations. For most of the 1960s, The Temptations were the crown jewel of Berry Gordy's empire. 5 voices, 5 sharp suits, Break Time 05's choreography so tight it looked like one body moving in 5 places.
So easy to forget.
My girl, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Just My Imagination. Every other month, Break Time 05's. Another hit, another television appearance, another reason for Gordy to call them his proudest creation. Break Time 05's. But behind the smiles and the matching tuxedos, something was rotting. The group felt boxed in. Break Time 05's. They watched as Gordy poured more and more resources into Diana Ross.
When I was young, my mama used to say, boy.
They watched their producer, Norman Whitfield, Break Time 05's, take their psychedelic soul masterpieces and have them recut for other acts. Break Time 05's. They watched royalty statements that never seemed to match the size of the crowds screaming their names. And by the mid-70s,
Don't be ashamed. Don't say that us to blame.
Break Time 05's. The resentment had hardened into something colder. Otis Williams, the last original Temptation, remembered the meeting where it all came apart. Break Time 05's. He remembered Berry Gordy's face when they told him they were done. Gordy didn't beg. Gordy didn't shout. Break Time 05's. He just looked at them like a father whose sons had just told him they were leaving home for good. On April 1st, 1977, Break Time 05's. The Temptations signed the paperwork and walked out of Motown's offices. They went to Atlantic Records, Break Time 05's, the very label Motown had spent 2 decades trying to beat. They thought freedom would taste sweet. It tasted like nothing. The hits stopped. Break Time .05's. The chemistry dimmed. And by the mid-80s, the Temptations did something almost no one expected. They came crawling back to Gordy. Break Time 05's. But that wasn't even the most shocking betrayal at Hitsville. Break Time 05's. Because the group at number 9 didn't just leave Motown. They walked out the same year on the same wave of rebellion, and they took an entire piece of Berry Gordy's soul with them. Number 9, the Four Tops. If the Temptations were the kings of Motown harmony, the Four Tops were its beating heart. Levi Stubbs, Duke Fakir, Break Time Equals, Obie Benson, Lawrence Payton, 4 men who'd been singing together since high school.
Your voice I often hear.
Break Time 05's, who stayed in the same lineup for over 4 decades without a single replacement. Reach Out, Break Time 05's. I'll Be There, Bernadette, I Can't Help Myself. Songs that didn't just sell records, they defined what soul music sounded like to the entire Break Time 05's world.
Will I ever be the same?
And Berry Gordy knew it, which makes what happened next so painful. Break Time 05's. When Motown moved its headquarters from Detroit to Los Angeles in 1972, the Four Tops were gutted. Break Time 05's, Detroit wasn't just a city to them. Detroit was their mother, their wives, their kids, their churches. Break Time 05's, their corner barbershops, everything they were came from those streets. And Gordy was abandoning it. Break Time 05's. They felt the move was a betrayal of everything Motown had stood for. Worse, their songwriting team, the legendary Holland Dozier Holland, Break Time 05's had already been gone for years over their own war with Gordy, and without them, the Tops felt creatively orphaned. Levi Stubbs, that booming, Break Time 05's desperate voice that made grown men cry, told the others it was time to go.
Some say it's a sign of weakness.
They signed with ABC Dunhill, Break Time 05's. They walked away from the company they'd helped build. And here's the part that stings.
Although you're never near.
Berry Gordy reportedly never quite forgave them. Break Time 05's. For years afterwards, when Motown executives suggested reissuing classic Four Tops material, Gordy hesitated.
Then I'd rather be.
Break Time 05's. Some say he couldn't bear to look at it. The Tops, like the Temptations, would eventually return in the 80s.
Oh yeah. When you see me smiling.
But the trust was gone. Break Time 05's. And if you think a group leaving is bad, wait until you hear what the woman at number 8 did.
You know things happen.
Because she didn't just leave Motown. She stood in front of Berry Gordy's face and accused him of stealing her entire career.
I got worse in his smile.
If you enjoyed this video, we invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update, and the real stories behind the music that built the world we live in. Don't miss the next one. We will see you there. Back to the countdown.
Number 8, Martha Reeves. She was the woman who recorded Dancing in the Street, one of the most important songs of the entire 1960s. Break Time 05's. She fronted Martha and the Vandellas through Heatwave, Jimmy Mack. Nowhere to Run hit so fundamental to the Motown sound that without them, Break Time 05's, history would have a hole the size of Detroit. But Martha Reeves had a problem. Her name was Diana Ross. Break Time 05's. From the moment Berry Gordy fell in love with Ross, and make no mistake, it was love every other female act on the label became a second-class citizen. Break Time 05's. Martha watched the budgets shrink. She watched the promotion dry up. She watched album releases get delayed, magazine covers go to the Supremes. Break Time 05's. And her television bookings vanish. And worst of all, she watched her own group begin to disintegrate around her, while Gordy did nothing to save them. Break Time 05's. In the early 1970s, Reeves had had enough. Break Times. She accused Motown of deliberately sabotaging her career to clear the runway for Diana Ross's solo dreams. Break Time =05's. She said the label had buried tracks she'd recorded, refused to release singles she knew were hits, Break Time =05's, and used her royalty money to bankroll other artists. Break Time =05's. The breaking point came when she had a nervous breakdown, a breakdown she would later blame squarely on the stress of fighting Berry Gordy for. Break Time '05's basic respect she'd earned 10 times over. She left Motown in 1972. She signed with MCA, and for the rest of her life, Break Time '05's. She would tell interviewers that Motown didn't just lose her, Motown broke her. Berry Gordy, for his part, has always insisted he loved Martha. Break Time '05's.
what to do with them. Give them to you, do love. Tell him one more time.
But love and fairness at Motown were rarely the same thing. And that brings us to number 7, a woman whose name you may not know, but whose lawsuit against Berry Gordy lasted longer than most marriages. Number 7, Kim Weston. If you've ever heard It Takes Two by Marvin Gaye and Kim Weston, you've heard one of the most underrated duets in Motown history. Weston had a voice like Dark Velvet Smokey controlled, capable of carrying a ballad through 3 octaves without breaking sweat. Berry Gordy saw her potential. He signed her in 1963. Break Time 05's, he paired her with Marvin Gaye. He gave her solo singles. And then, he let her disappear. Behind the scenes, Break Time 05's Weston had married a Motown executive named William Mickey Stevenson, one of Gordy's right-hand men. And in 1967, Break Time's 5's. When Stevenson demanded a piece of Motown ownership and Gordy refused, the couple walked out together. Weston believed her marriage to Stevenson had made her a target. She believed Gordy had buried her solo career out of spite, and years later, she did what very few Motown alumni had the courage to do. She sued. She sued over royalties she said she'd never receive. Break Time 05's. She sued over masters she said had been recorded but never released. Break Time 5's. She sued over what she described as a deliberate effort by Motown to erase her from the label's history because of her husband's defection. Break Time 05's. The case dragged on. The settlement, when it finally came, was modest. Break Time 05's. But Kim Weston had made a point that would echo through the halls of Hitsville for decades, that loyalty at Motown didn't always run both ways. And that pattern, that quiet, methodical erasure of artists who crossed Berry Gordy, brings us to one of the most explosive departures in Motown history. Number 6 is a group whose lead singer was so furious with Berry Gordy that she said leaving Motown was the happiest day of her life. Number 6, Gladys Knight and the Pips. By the time Gladys Knight and the Pips arrived at Motown in 1966, they were already veterans. Break Time 05's. They'd been performing together since they were children. They'd cut hits on smaller labels. They knew the business. And that, more than anything, because Motown wasn't built for veterans. Motown was built for moldable young talent who would do what Berry Gordy said, sing what Berry Gordy chose, and accept whatever Berry Gordy paid. Break Time wasn't 05's. Gladys Knight wasn't built that way. The first slap came almost immediately. Break Time 05's Gladys recorded a song called I Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Wants to be the first to say goodbye.
Her version was electric raw, gospel-charged, a slow-burning monster of a record. Break Time 05's Motown released it.
I guess neither one of us.
It went to number 2 on the pop charts. And then Berry Gordy gave the exact same song to Marvin Gaye, Break Time 05's, who took it to number 1 and turned it into one of the best-selling singles in Motown history. Break Time = 5's.
All he knows it's only me that I
Gladys watched her own hit get overshadowed by a cover she'd been forced to set up. The Pips watched the same thing happen again and again. Break Time 05's lesser promotion.
to say I'm leaving.
Smaller venues, less marketing money. They were treated like the warm-up act for the Supremes, the Temptations. Break Time 05's, the Four Tops, even though their records were outselling some of them.
That I'm deceiving.
By 1973, they were done. They left Motown for Buddha Records, Break Time 05s. And within months, Gladys Knight and the Pips recorded Midnight Train to Georgia, the biggest hit of their entire career. Break Time .05's a song so iconic it has its own gravitational pull in American music. Break Time 5s.
Get in my way.
Berry Gordy watched from his Los Angeles mansion as the act he'd undervalued became unstoppable the moment she escaped him. And yet, somehow, the betrayal at number 5 was even bigger. Because the group at number 5 wasn't just a group, it was a family. A family Berry Gordy had personally promised the world to. And they walked away from him anyway.
Find the nerve to say I'm leaving.
Number 4. Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard was a founding member of the Supremes. She was, by many accounts, the most powerful vocalist of the three. Break Time 05s. She was the one who'd come up with the name The Supremes in the first place, and she was the one Berry Gordy threw away. Break Time 05s. From the moment Gordy began his romantic relationship with Diana Ross, in the mid-1960s, Florence Ballard's days were numbered. Break Time 05s. Diana got the leads. Diana got the solos. Diana got the spotlight on stage and the close-ups on television. Break Time equal 5s. Florence, the original lead voice, was pushed further and further into the background of her own group. She began to drink. She began to gain weight. Break Time 05s, which Gordy criticized her for openly. She began to show up late, miss rehearsals, snap at producers. By 1967, Break Time equal 5s, Gordy and Diana Ross had had enough. Break Time 05s. They didn't just fire Florence, they renamed the group Diana Ross and the Supremes, put another singer in her spot. Break Time. And pushed her out the door with a settlement that, for the woman who had founded one of the most successful acts in music history, Break Time 05s was almost insulting. Florence tried to start a solo career. It failed. She tried to sue Motown for what she said were missing royalties. She lost. Break Time 05s. She ran out of money. She went on welfare. By the early 70s, Break Time 05s. The woman who had once stood next to Diana Ross in matching gowns on The Ed Sullivan Show was raising her children in a Detroit house with the heat. She died in 1976. She was 32 years old. Berry Gordy attended the funeral. Diana Ross sang at the grave. Break Time 05s. But for many in the Motown family, the damage was already done. Florence Ballard, more than anyone, Break Time 05s, became the cautionary tale of what happened when you fell out of Berry Gordy's favor. Break Time falling out of 5s. And speaking of falling out of favor, wait until you hear what the woman at number 3 did. Break Time 05s, because she was Motown's first female superstar. And she walked out the door at the height of her career, and her decision haunted Berry Gordy for the rest of his life. Number 3, Mary Wells in 1964. Mary Wells was the biggest female star Motown had ever produced. My Guy had just gone to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, knocking the Beatles out of the top spot. Break Time 05s. She was touring with the Beatles themselves at their invitation. She was the queen of Motown, and at the time she was only 20 years old. Break Time 05s.
I like a stamp to a letter, like birds of a feather.
There was just one problem. The contract Berry Gordy had signed her to when she was 17 paid her almost nothing. Break Time = 5s.
Apart from my God.
Mary watched as her records sold millions and her bank account didn't move. Break Time 05s.
Nothing you can do could make me out.
She watched as Gordy poured promotion money into the Supremes, a group she felt was being groomed to replace her, and she watched her own husband. Break Time 5s.
Be a movie star when it comes to being happy.
Herman Griffin, a struggling Motown artist himself, whisper in her ear that 20th Century Fox Records would pay her a fortune to walk away.
Nothing you can buy could make.
Break Time 05s. So she did the unthinkable. On the day after her 21st birthday, Mary Wells called Berry Gordy to her apartment and told him she was leaving.
I gave my guy my word of honor.
Break Time 05's Gordy, by her own later account, practically got on his knees. Break Times 05s.
To be faithful, and I'm gonna you.
He offered her a 50% stake in Motown, half of the entire company, if she would stay. She said no. She took a $30,000 payout. Break Time 05s.
Honor you, be believing I won't be.
Signed with 20th Century Fox and walked away from royalties that today would be worth tens of millions of dollars.
My God.
The fall was catastrophic. Break Time 05s. Her new label couldn't replicate the Motown machine. Her next single barely cracked the charts. Then her tuberculosis returned. By the late 60s, Break Time 05s. Mary Wells, the queen of Motown, was struggling to get bookings in small clubs. By the 80s, she was nearly broke. By 1992, Break Time 05s, she was dead of throat cancer at 49. Berry Gordy never publicly criticized her. But friends say he never quite got over her leaving. Break Time .05s, because Mary Wells was the first to prove that Motown's biggest stars could be poached. And once that door was open, the floodgates broke. Break Time = 05s. Which brings us to number 2, the 3 men who didn't just leave Berry Gordy.
I gave my guy my word of honor.
They sued him for 9 years and triggered the longest legal war in Motown history. Number 2, Diana Ross. Of all the betrayals on this list, this is the one that broke Berry Gordy's heart. Diana Ross wasn't just a Motown artist. Break Time 05s. She was the love of Berry Gordy's life. They had been romantically involved for 5 years. She was the mother of his daughter. Break Time .05s. He had built her from a teenager into the most famous black woman in the world. He renamed an entire group after her. He gave her her own movies. Break Times 05s. He spent more time, more money, and more love on Diana Ross than on any other artist in Motown history. And in 1981, Break Time 05s, she walked out the door. By the late 70s, the magic between them had curdled, and then Diana made a discovery that changed everything. Break Time .05s. After more than 20 years at Motown, 20 years of selling tens of millions of records, she looked at her bank account and found only 3. Break Time 05s. $100,000 to her name. $300,000. For the woman who had made Motown hundreds of millions, Break Time 05's RCA Records came knocking with an offer that took her breath away. $20 million. Complete creative control. Break Time 05's, the most expensive recording contract in music Before she signed it, Diana called Berry Gordy and asked him if he could match it.
Break 05s.
Gordy said one word: impossible. And in that single word, Diana Ross heard the truth about everything. After 2 decades of devotion, break time 05s. After. The affair after the daughter Berry Gordy would not move the mountain for her, so she moved on without him. Break 05s. He handed her $250,000 in severance for 21 years of building his empire. Break time 05s, Gordy would later admit her leaving killed him. He said he was in guttural pain. The empire could survive losing a songwriter, a singer, break time 5s, even an entire group. But losing Diana Ross?
Ever since that day,
Berry Gordy never fully recovered, and yet even her departure wasn't the wound that hurt him most. Because the artist at #1 walked into Berry Gordy's office, looked him in the eye, and forced an empire to bend. #1. Marvin Gaye. In 1970, Marvin Gaye was at the absolute peak of his fame. Break time 05s. I Heard It Through the Grapevine had become the biggest-selling Motown single in history. He was Berry Gordy's brother-in-law, break time 05s, married to Gordy's sister Anna. He was the most important male voice in the entire Motown catalogue, and he was about to detonate it all. Break time 05's Gaye had been changing. His duet partner, Tammy Terrell, had just died of a brain tumor. His brother Frankie had come home from Vietnam shattered. Break time 05s. The country was burning. And Marvin Gaye could not sing love songs anymore. Break time 05s. He went into the studio at Hitsville and recorded a song called What's Going On? Then he called Berry Gordy, who was vacationing in the Bahamas, break time 05s, and played it for him. Gordy's reaction was brutal. He told Gaye it was the worst record he had ever heard in his life.
Get up, get up, get up, get up, let's make love.
Break time 05s. He said it would ruin Marvin's career. He flatly refused to release it. And Marvin Gaye did something almost no Motown artist had ever done. Break time 05s. He went on strike. He told Berry Gordy he would not record another note for Motown until What's Going On was released. Gordy stalled. Gordy raged.
Good to meet my baby.
Break time 05s. Gordy tried to wait him out, but Marvin would not move. Finally, break time 05s.
Come take control.
A Motown executive named Harry Balk pressed up 100,000 copies and shipped them to radio stations behind Berry Gordy's back. Break time 05s. The song exploded. 200,000 copies sold in the first week. It hit #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Break time 05s. Rolling Stone would later name the album the greatest record ever made. And Berry Gordy himself would publicly admit he had been wrong. Break time 05s, but the empire was never the same. Because Marvin Gaye had proven that even Berry Gordy could be forced to bend. Break time 05s. And every artist who ever turned against him after that did it with one quiet, defiant thought in the back of their mind. If Marvin could do it, so could they.